Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Chantel and you're watching Diamond Mind, where I want your divine mind to shine. I want to talk to you about the ego and how it affects our lives. So, the ego. I learned through this amazing book called New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. He was talking all about how the ego can control us through identifying with certain things, which in results create our identity. You see, the many aspects of ourself will have different effects on our behavior and ultimately how we live our life. You see, the ego doesn't care what you identify with as long as it feels the identity of your body and your mind. Whether you feel like you're insecure or whether you feel like you're not good enough or you're a scared person or a brave person, or you identify your purpose with your job, or you identify who you are with your family and your children or your significant other. All these different things, feelings, emotions, people, possessions, the ego uses these things to create identities. The sense of my, mine, I, all of those feelings come from the ego. So that's not to say that the ego is good or bad. There might be a seemingly duality when it comes to it. If you feel like you're insecure, then that part of your ego may not feel as good. Or if you feel like you're very spiritual and you're spiritually awakened, that part of your ego might feel really good. And so what we need to remember is that it's neither good or bad, it's neutral. And I like to believe that our ego is bringing to light parts of us that we are unconscious of. You see, when we identify with certain things and it goes into our subconscious mind, maybe we're not being conscious of how we're acting or conscious of how we feel or these emotions, and kind of letting these emotions or feelings slip by us. And so the ego uses these feelings and thoughts and emotions to almost hypnotize us into feeling into these identities, whether good or bad. And so I think that we need to regain control, not by forcing ourselves to be anything or think anything, but simply letting ourselves to let go. So how do we let go? How do we release this control that the ego has over us, hypnotizing our thoughts and our behavior in certain moments of triggers? Well, the first step is to have an awareness behind the emotions that you're having. Don't let yourself get so consumed, because if you get consumed, you might start to be in a loop of overthinking and overanalyzing. And see, we need to realize that there's no amount of thoughts that can heal us. The healing comes from letting go. The healing comes from releasing. So if you come from a place of observing, you can just hear your ego out in your mind. You don't even have to say it out loud either. You can simply listen to it. Let it feel itself through. Because if you resist, then these feelings are just going to get more bottled up, and they're going to keep coming up over and over and over again. So come from a neutral place. Come from awareness. that is when you get your control back over your mind and your ego and your body. I would say the next thing is to really know the difference between your intuition and your ego. See, your intuition is that small voice, those small feelings that nudge us in the right direction. But our ego is a very loud voice, a very hypnotizing voice, whereas intuition's way more calm and feels more at ease when you hear it. So you know that the intuition is coming from your higher self, but your ego is a part of your lower self, the body, the human aspect of you. And so if you know that difference, it's going to help you be able to observe the ego, observe the mind, and be able to let go of certain things much easier. I would say also choose an identity, because the ego is going to want to identify with things. We're having a worldly experience, so it's only natural. And like I said, the ego is neutral, so it's okay to identify with certain things. But identify with things that serve you, that make you better, that make you grow and make you evolve. Like, I'm a healthy person. I love to eat healthy. I love to exercise. I love educating myself. I love to meditate. And put your identity into things that make you better, healthier, happier, peaceful even. Put your identity into your purpose without having it become all of you. Because we have many layers, and you're not just one part of your life. You're your whole being, your whole entity. And your higher self will always be way more and way more infinite than any worldly thing, possession, relationship. So just remember to allow yourself to enjoy these things. Enjoy different parts of yourself. Don't let in certain areas. And if you're consumed in a negative way, because I know, such as myself, I have a lot of insecurities, and I've done a great amount of healing to let go of that part of my ego that would tell me things and make me feel things that, where I come from an observant place, I know that's not true. That's not my truth, and I don't have to beat myself up. I don't have to feel a certain way about myself or my abilities or how I look. You see, no matter what you do, no matter what you accomplish, how beautiful you are, these things, like Eckhart Tolle would say, they don't last. They're very shallow. They're very small in comparison to the grandness of who you truly are. And if you had a spiritual awakening, then you would know that that bigger part of you is way more real than anything else. That unconditional peace and love, it will always peek through in the moment you finally calm down, or you finally have had enough with your own mind. Because the good part of you, the higher part of you, will always win. It's always going to help you as soon as you release the resistance and the control of the parts of your identity that your ego is trying to build and trying to increase on a daily basis. So, in summary, I would say, start to reframe your situations and reframe your emotions. Dig deeper to feel if that was truly you. And if you know for a fact that you are and more than your mind, then you would know that any emotion or feeling is not truly you. It's only when it comes from a very authentic place that you know it's maybe a part of your making, your divine making, I would like to call it. You see, I believe that the things that come to us through our hearts, that's a part of our true as our identity could be. Whether we love to help people or we love to create art, those things, those good heartfelt moments, those are the really good parts of your ego that you need to grow and expand and let yourself dive into those parts of you. But always remember, when you meditate, you're letting go of all the thoughts and the emotions. And in that time, you're being your truest and highest version of yourself. Because our higher self is observing this life and all the things that we do and how we live. And it's simply an observing. It's like watching your own movie. When we wake up, we come into our bodies and we go into the role of being whoever we have created ourselves to be. And as babies, we're already that clean slate. It's only the things that touch our hearts or touch our minds or influence us in certain ways create this identity. And that's okay and that's good. But just release control through observing. I would say meditate. I would say dig deeper. Always dig deeper to your emotions because there's probably a root reason why because there might have been a moment that triggered you in the first place that's making you feel that way continuously and you're spiraling into your future with those emotions. And so once you heal that part of you, you will be free of that part of your ego. So keep the good, let go of the bad. Now I hope that really helped you, and I hope that really resonated. Thank you so much for watching. The cuts in your diamond mind are the cells of your brain shaping your reality.